Let me go a little farther, because Precept Foods, which is a joint venture between Cargill and Hormel, right? That's what Precept Foods is? Correct?
I'm not aware of it.
Okay. Go to the last 2 pages, Exhibit 71E. Because Precept also realized the data they submitted is opposite of what you concluded. Still, they submitted the data. Look the last 2 pages there. Last 3 pages, actually. Email, Monday, May 10, 2004, to Ann Whalen from, looks like D. Ruzick at Hormel.com. 71D, go 71D. Okay, we're talking about this study now. You see this? This is the last 3 pages. It's an email.
Yes, I found that.
Okay. And this is May 10th, after they submitted this documents to you. And it says, Ann, obviously you have had other things on your mind recently, but when you get a chance to review this report, please let me know if you see any other funny data in it. I welcome any insights or questions you may have. Quite honestly, this test seems to raise more questions than it answered. Thanks much. Now, that is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If you go there, Ann Whalen responds 3 hours later. I've read the report a couple of times. This is her email response back to Mr. Ruzick. These data do bring some interesting thoughts. Why are the samples with the most off odor have microcounts that aren't different than the samples that have acceptable odor? The sample with the last state have more desirable odor than the samples without last state. Why are microcounts decreasing as number of days increase? That's the inverse that I talked about. Also, microcounts are decreasing, but odor is increasing. That's reverse. It should be just the opposite. When the environment has bugs, I think there would be an increase in CO2, but on the package tested, the CO2 has decreased. Just a thought, why put a claim statement in the summary of these data don't show results that can be patentable? Why not let the patent lawyers determine? Would you agree with me that that questions the validity of the study they submitted in which you based your approval upon? Would you agree with me? Is that what that email says?
Based on this information, I think this leads to some questions, yes.
Based on this information, don't you think you should reconsider your approval of the use of carbon monoxide until we get these questions answered?
I suppose my best response is that based on the data that we received in May of 2004, no signs of spoilage were detected in any of the samples. The additional data were from studies that were conducted in February of 2004.
By Precept Foods, there was a data submitted to you in which you based your decision upon, correct?
Exactly.
So the questions I raised and the questions raised in this email, would you not want to reconsider it? The use of carbon monoxide in packaging?
This is Ingle John on behalf of the department at FSI. So I would say, as I said in my opening statement, that if in fact we receive new data or information for us to reassess the information that we were previously provided, we certainly will do that. And we have in fact asked.
So you will now reassess based upon this email and the information I pointed out?
Well, we clearly will look at the data, and we have asked our research arm of the department to actually work with us on the design of a study to actually in fact, look at this particular issue as well as a broader.
Well, can you assure the American people that based upon this faulty study in which you made your approval, you will suspend the use of carbon monoxide in modified packaging until you get the answers resolved here? This raises some serious issues, does it not?
I think we would still go back to the issue of the data that we were looking at were specific to the issue of whether or not spoilage would be an indicator here, and whether or not we did not look at this from a safety perspective.
And you also look at deception, whether or not this packaging is deceptive to the American people?
Again, from our perspective, we did establish a use by freeze-by date as the mode in which a consumer would in fact be able to tell if this product is spoiled.
Let me ask Dr. Heibarger, I'd asked you earlier, had you seen these studies? You saw these studies, right?
I saw them. I don't recall them at all. I mean, I can't pull the numbers out of my head. That was 3 years.
You're looking at the book there. Do you agree with me that when the microbial count should have gone up, they were decreasing? When odor should have gone up, it decreased, that there are problems here, as pointed out in those emails? Do you agree that there's problems in these studies based upon their own internal emails of Cargill and Hormel and their Precepts food? That we have some serious questions here now? I take it that's a yes. Let me ask Dr. Inglejohn. Dr. Inglejohn, you mentioned about the GRAS. Was there ever a GRAS study panel for this carbon monoxide use in the packaging? You usually get a panel together, don't you, to review it on the GRAS?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
Okay. You usually do one, don't you, Dr. Post? Look like you want to answer. You usually do a GRAS review panel. You have a panel to review it before you make a GRAS?
I'll answer no to that, but I'll also defer to my FDA colleagues to answer the GRAS process.
So there was no outside review, just your internal review of these studies submitted by Precept Foods, correct?
Yes.
Okay.